He is on our side, in other words. If I did not know that gentleman, we would go at this without an attorney, and I would just have to bite the bullet and help my friend. I don't really want to put in the time and effort because of the complex litigation. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's a point in time where you have to say, okay, I got them dead to rights. I don't want to screw this up. I know justice system's great, but I don't have the confidence to do it. Let me jump on it and go do it somewhere else. See, I'm about 6 months, 5 months from free and clear homes on 3 homes.
Mm.
Yeah. So because I know what I'm doing. Larry knows what he's doing. John knows what he's doing. You know, we all work together. I can go through the complex litigation and eat you alive as an attorney. It doesn't bother me. Okay? For several reasons, but I'll leave it at that. So when you have these frequently violated FDCPA, you know you can sue attorneys, and always keep that in mind. But 1692D, which is harassment or abuse, specifically reads, any conduct, the natural consequence of which is to harass, oppress, or abuse any person. D2 says profane language or other abusive language. Right?
Yeah.
1692 DF causes the phone to ring or engage any person in telephone conversations repeatedly. And the one most frequently violated is place telephone calls without disclosing his or her identity.
Right.
Okay? Then you jump to E, which is false or misleading representation during the communication. Means any false, deceptive, or misleading representation or means in connection with the debt collection, the character, amount, or legal status of the alleged debt, any false representation or deceptive means to collect a debt or obtain any information about the consumer, and E14, any name other than the true name of the debt collector's business. And then it jumps into F, which is the unfair practices. Unfair or unconscionable means to collect or attempt to collect the alleged debt. Hey, Ben, I'm going to lien your house and I'm going to sell it and I'm going to take your home. Ben, I'm going to lien your Social Security account. Ben, I'm going to, you can't do that. But they do it daily. Matter of fact, if you go to YouTube, which I know is one of your favorite hunts, go to YouTube and type in debt collection calls and you'll listen where people say, hey, Ben, are you going to give me a credit card over the phone right now? No? Well, the sheriff's going to be at your house in 30 minutes to arrest you if you do not pay me. You better tell me now because I can go ahead and call him off. But if you don't, he's going to be there and arrest you. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what these debt collectors will do. Okay?
So that right there is a violation of the Fair Debt Collection
Practices Act and state law, depending on what state you live. Now, you might live in a sorry state like Georgia, who has no debt collection protection at all for consumers. It relies strictly on the federal. Or you might live in a state like Florida, which has a mirror image. $1,000. California, $1,000. As a matter of fact, California's act is even stronger than the federal. So depending on the state, Pennsylvania, you got a $50 fine instead of a $1,000 fine. It doesn't matter. It's still $50. Buys you a good dinner,
So with a typical debt collector, how many of these different counts are they violating? It could be multiple things, right?
Well, on our member side, on one phone call, I have 2 phone calls. I have a regular live phone call, and then I have a regular, what I call robocall. And each one of those calls is worth $4,000 per call. Okay, because it's not just a violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, it's a violation of the Telephone Communication Practices Act. Remember, it's illegal for anybody to call or text you, and we have all the case history on there, that you don't have an established business relationship with on your cell phone, unless it's for emergency purposes.
All right.
Hey, Ben, you want to go have a beer later today? Well, who are you? Well, you owe me $1,000. Don't call me again or I'm going to sue you. Well, the second time you call me, that's it. Now you owe me $2,000. Unlike the FDCPA, you're still trying to collect the same debt, but you've called me or written me 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Right? So it's still $1,000. The TCPA is per incident. You've called me once. That's one cause of action. You call me again. It's a separate cause of action. 3, 4, 5. I had 128 causes of action against Citibank for calling my cell phone using robocallers. Auto dialers, robocallers, predicted dialers, any of that stuff. Yeah. Wow. It's great stuff, man.
So do your clients like routinely, get successes?
I don't have clients. We have
members. Members, yeah, of course.
Only attorneys have clients. Doctors have clients, Garages have clients.
Yeah, sure. By the way, I was listening to your TalkShoe conference call, and I heard you guys tell a story where you'd sued an attorney firm or something and won.
Oh, we've sued a lot of them and won. Like I said, I've gotten about 28 grand. Listen, this case here, I have one case that I just relinquished. And the reason I say that is the house itself is sitting in downtown Orlando, off in an area that's not so good, you know what I mean? It's probably worth $30,000. At the top of the market, it was worth about $130,000. I only financed about $70,000, so about 50% of the value. I was good when I bought it as a rental, right? And if I went over there and gave it a good swift kick on the side, it'd fall over.
Right.
So I didn't want the liability. U.S. Bank called me and said, listen, would you take $5,000 and just go away? Because they've lost to me 2 times in court over the last 4.5 years. Their foreclosure case has been dismissed. And relatively easy, okay?
Yeah.
So every time that their case has been dismissed, I've sued them under the FDCPA and FCCPA, so they've paid me a couple of grand a whack. Right?
Yeah.
Because that would fall under the legal status of the debt. So they're misrepresenting the legal status of the debt. Otherwise, I wouldn't have won, correct? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that you understand the basis of it, and they know that. Well, this last attorney, which I don't know if you're familiar with, their last attorney firm that helped them was David Stern. Well, he fell apart and completely dissolved. So these new attorneys, and let me grab their name. Hold on a minute. I got to get the envelope because you're going to laugh. You're going to laugh at me. This is the stuff that people don't understand. And make sure you can hear me clearly, Ben. If not, let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. There it is. Debt collector envelope. Okay. They sent me 2 envelopes. September 10th, and why do I remember that date? That was my 23rd wedding anniversary. I go to the mailbox with my wife in the morning, about 11:30 in the morning. It was a Saturday, getting ready to go off on our little mini honeymoon, And I start jumping for joy, and she's laughing. I said, here's another weekend paid by these idiots for us. Right. And it reads as follows. Florida, foreclosure attorneys, PLLC, a default service law firm. So guess what? They showed up in this case that David Stern fell apart. This was their letter saying, hey guys, we're joining the party. And I wrote them back and I says, that's okay. You can join the party, but it's going to cost you $4,000. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, let me read you something that's going to give you a good chuckle. I'm trying to find it here. Any language or symbol on an envelope that indicates the communication concerns debt collection, $1,000. The Florida Act reads identical. So that's $2,000 for me, $2,000 for my wife to join the party.
Yeah.
Okay? So they joined the party on behalf of U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank says, that's enough. This guy will not let one thing go by because I keep you on your toes. I'm worse than a jealous wife,
Yeah.
I keep you on your toes. So the attorneys that just joined the party are sending us $4,000 and are mad at U.S. Bank because U.S. Bank said, hey, join the party, but now you're giving this guy $5,000 to go away and drop the case. What the hell just happened here? $9,000 in a weekend. Ain't a bad weekend, right, man? How many people work 4 months, 5 months to get $9,000?
Wow. Yeah.
All I did is go to the mailbox, go on my honeymoon, and come back, write a couple pieces of paper, some words on paper, send it to them for all of 42 cents. And I'm expecting my checks hopefully by the end of next week. So, these are the kind of situations that if you just understand the simplicity